Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Adam Bittner, digital sports producer for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, here for our first Joe Starkey mailbag video. It's a new staple we're going to do here on YouTube every week. Joe has long done a mailbag that's written on postgazette.com, and you can check that out. I'll leave the link to that down in the description. But we also wanted to choose some of these topics up on YouTube because Joe gets great questions and he gives great answers. So, Joe, how are you?
Good morning, Adam. I've never been better. This is very exciting launching this project with you.
Yes, we're very excited. You were on our live stream on Thursday night for the NFL draft, or you recovered from that experience.
Chris Carter's enthusiasm overwhelmed me, but yes, I am recovered. Couple
That's
therapy
good to hear.
sessions and I'm good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We did 7.5 hours between the 2 days, Joe. I don't know how I'm sitting here.
It's amazing. Well, I appreciate you doing this with the mailbag. I can't wait to bring it to life here.
Absolutely. Well, let's just jump right into it with our first question. The first big question you were asked in your mailbag was, are the Pirates closer to winning 100 games this season, or are the Steelers closer to winning a Super Bowl? I thought that was a really compelling question because those are two pretty lofty goals for both of those teams, especially, from where we started the season in terms of our perception of the Pirates. What's your answer and why?
Well, I don't think either is likely, but that wasn't the question. It was which one is more likely. If you had to bet everything on either the Pirates winning 100 or the Steelers the Super Bowl, I'd have to go with the Pirates winning 100. They're on pace to do that right now. And let me be very careful. I don't think they're going to do it. We all understand the parameters of the question here. I think that's more likely than the Steelers winning a Super Bowl this year. They're already on pace to do it. We're what, 30% into the season? 25, something like that.
We're coming up on it. What I
20.
think when they get 10 more games, they'll be at 40, and that'll be a quarter, right?
Yeah, there you go. So yes, I would say that is more likely of two very unlikely scenarios.
Why do you think what would give you hope that the Pirates can keep winning at this pace? You mentioned that they're on that pace. What have you seen that would encourage you that they'd be able to possibly stay on that pace?
I don't think they'll be able to stay on that pace. The pace they're on is like 108 games. I don't think there's any way they're going to stay on that pace. But what would give me hope that they could, for example, we talked today about whether the new bar is a winning season. All they have to do is play at like a 470 pace to win 82 games. I like their pitching. First of all, their starting pitching, I think even in this age of the proliferation of bullpens, everything literally begins with your starting pitching. And I think their starting pitching is pretty good. Does it have lasting power? I think Keller does. I think Contreras does. Rich Hill, I don't know. I think Velasquez may have discovered something. I think he could be this year's Liriano. And Oviedo, I think, has promise. And if one of those guys gets hurt or doesn't work out, you can go to Ortiz in the minors. I think he's a very promising guy who could deliver right now. And you're also allowed by major league rules to go out and acquire people from other teams. So I think their pitching is the number one reason that they could keep winning at least more than they lose. Let's put it that way.
I want to ask the question this way and reframe it a little bit, Joe. Let's make it, apples to apples. Who do you think is closer to following through on actually winning a championship? Noting, of course, that they're probably both still pretty far away. But, if we're going to make an apples to apples comparison here, which team do you kind of have more faith of actually following through and winning a championship?
Well, it's been written in the Post-Gazette by yours truly that the Pirates will win the World Series in 2027. I might move that up to 26. The Steelers, I mean, if Kenny Pickett progresses quickly here, excuse me, I think they have a chance to be really good in about maybe this year, maybe next year. I think the schedule is very conducive for the Steelers this season to maybe win 10 games. And then some of these draft picks, if Joey Porter turns out to be the type of guy that you can put on a Jamar Chase and an Amari Cooper in the division, then, all bets are off. Things change. So I think both of them, unlike the Penguins, both the Steelers and the Pirates, the arrow is pointed up.
You mentioned in the mailbag that you think the new baseline for the Pirates is 85 wins. That would be a 23 game improvement, I think, from last year when they won 62. That's, there's not a whole lot of precedent for that in baseball history, making that kind of leap from year to year. So how big of a disappointment would it be for you if they fell short of 85? They fell short of maybe even a winning season compared to, what the start has been.
Did I say 85? I thought I said 82. I thought I said a winning season is the new bar. I may have said 85, but if I was hallucinating, Adam. So I'm going to go with 82.
Okay.
And your question was why I think that's the new bar?
Yeah, or if they don't reach that, then how big of a disappointment is that given the excitement that's been generated here at the start?
Big disappointment. I mean, parameters change when a team starts like this. If an NFL team started, that I thought was going to go 7-10, started 5-1, then I no longer think they're going to go 7-10, and I think anything less than 10 wins at that point is disappointing. So credit to them. They got more wins in April than any Pirate team in the history of the franchise. They're 20-9 we don't know the results of, or can we give away that this is recorded, Adam?
Yeah, we're
That'd be a
recording on
horrible
Tuesday.
thing.
We're recording on Tuesday afternoon, so we don't know what happened in this first game against the Rays here.
Right. So as I speak, they're 20-9. Things change. All they have to do to go 82-80 is play at an 87 loss pace the rest of the season. So yeah, they better do that at this point. Yes.
Joe, how does the series against the Rays frame your perception of this team, given that they faced a lot of, I think, bad competition? And listen, there's been a lot of Pirates teams that have not beaten bad teams, and you got to can't just take away and say, it doesn't matter that they beat bad teams. There's a lot of Pirates teams that we haven't seen beat bad teams. But having said that, how much does this series against the Rays frame your perception? If they go out and get swept, is what we're talking about here, does it change at all, or are you still looking at it as it has to be a more positive outcome once they get into the meat of their schedule here?
I mean, it's going to be fascinating, but it's just a 3-game blip on the schedule. No more than them losing 2 of 3 to the Reds did to open the season. No more than them taking 2 or 3 from the Dodgers, sweeping the Red Sox in Fenway. And, the Red Sox have turned out to be a winning team so far. The Dodgers are who they are, and they can't help that the Cardinals aren't any good so far anyway. So they've actually, to me, beaten some good teams. The schedule will stiffen. It will stiffen for sure. But I'm not going to look at one 3-game snippet, really, and have that either way frame my view of this team. Now if we can talk about the next, they play Toronto after that, and then I think they have Texas later in the month. Let's see where we are on June 1st. That'll be an interesting test for me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see, kind of where things land with that. Another interesting reader question, I think it's kind of a sub question of your initial question about Pirates are closer to winning 100 games or the Steelers winning the Super Bowl, was who's closer to a championship just within the NFL? Is it the Patriots, the Steelers' longtime nemesis, or is it the Steelers themselves? What was your answer there, Joe, and why do you feel that way?
I think it's the Steelers because I like Kenny Pickett better than Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi. And as I mentioned to the reader, the Patriots are, shockingly devoid of stars. They didn't have one person on the All-Pro first team or second team outside of their punt returner. I mean, who's their star? Who do you think of when you think of the Patriots? They're just incredibly average. Now, so are the Steelers, or have been. Don't get me wrong, but I like Pickett better than either one of their quarterbacks. And also, I think the Steelers have more star power. The Patriots don't have a Minka. They don't have a TJ Watt, So to me, even though the Patriots came here and won last year, I'd rather be the Steelers right now.
Who do you think has done? I think this is an interesting question, Joe, because we criticize Mike Tomlin a lot in these parts for the playoff drought, the drought in playoff wins, his performance in the postseason. And I think, a lot of that is valid. But, Bill Belichick hasn't had the most he's had a pretty bumpy 4-year run here. Obviously, Bill Belichick is the better coach all time. But who do you think has had the better 4-year run, given what they had to work through at the quarterback situations and Especially in Tomlin's case, the injury to Ben Roethlisberger in 2019.
I mean, they've been perfectly even to me, really. Belichick, when you have a dynasty for that long, you basically go to the Super Bowl every other year. I think you've earned a letdown. And when you lose Tom Brady, and he still made the playoffs, has he made the playoffs twice in the last 4 years or
I
once?
think
I don't
so,
know.
yeah.
Um, they've, how would you differentiate? Neither one has won a playoff game. Tomlin's had some issues to deal with, but Belichick, coming off that type of dominance for that long, I think earned the letdown more than Tomlin did, probably.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I just think it's an interesting question of, I
Yeah.
think he's earned a longer leash, but who has done the better job in the last 4 years? Because this is a what have you done for me lately type of league, right?
Belichick took a team with a rookie quarterback to the playoffs 2 years ago, Mac Jones. So I thought that was a good coaching job. He got to within a game of the playoffs this year. Tomlin failed this year. Tomlin took a team last year. You could say Ben took a team last year. I'm going to call it a push. But if you're asking me for the single best coaching job from those 4 years,
I think
it
that's a
would
good
be
one.
it would be Belichick taking a rookie quarterback to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to kind of break that question down. Joe, another reader asked you, and we'll kind of wrap up on this with a couple follow-ups.
Yeah.
What is the most surprising team in Pittsburgh sports history, and where does this Pirates team kind of fall on that pantheon? You kind of farmed your answer out to some other people for their opinions. I think they came up with the 2011 Pirates. I think you submitted this year's Pitt basketball team. There was the Duck Hodges Steelers, I think, and then there was one other team. I have it written down here. Ben's rookie year when they went, whatever it was and won, and got to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I think I was framing it more in recent times, and of course we're only in May, so most surprising start or run by a Pittsburgh team. And yeah, I thought of Pitt basketball. If you would have told me after they lost to West Virginia and Michigan by a combined 1,000 points, and then we're losing to one of the worst teams of the 300 and some teams in all of Division One, Alabama State at home, and given how all of Jeff Capel's seasons had gone previously, if you would have told me that team would turn around and come within one shot of winning the ACC and win an NCAA tournament game, I would have said you were crazy. But they did it. That was a stunning team. The 13 Pirates were very surprising to me. Penguins, when I think of Penguin surprises, I think of 97, 98, Kevin Constantine's first year. Nobody thought that team was going to win a division, and they did. That was a very surprising team. So those are some that spring to mind in more modern times.
Yeah, I think those are good answers, and I think what would the Pirates have to do for you to kind of be on that level to on a full year basis rather than just kind of this start?
I mean, if they made the playoffs, for sure. There's always the the 97 Pirates, who surprised everybody with that young team for a while, but they faded out late and didn't get to the playoffs. So for this team to qualify on a historic level, I think they would have to make the playoffs or at least have a winning season.
Yeah, I think a winning season probably wouldn't be a huge shock for me, but if you can kind of get that, those 3, 4, 5 marginal wins that maybe get you in the postseason, because again, there's 3 wild card spots now, so you have more of a chance to kind of get yourself in. I think that would probably put them pretty high on the top of the list. Joe, I'll get you out of here on this. What would the Steelers have to do to truly surprise you in 2023? Obviously, winning a Super Bowl is a high bar. But if they really push for the division and maybe win a playoff game, would that be a surprise for you? Where's that bar for the Steelers team as we're looking toward the season now that the draft's behind us?
I'd be surprised if they got to the AFC title game. I think their schedule lends itself to maybe 10 wins and a wild card spot. And then once you're in, you could always win a wild card game. But I think if you win 2 playoff games, that would be very surprising to me, given that you're probably going to run into Burrow or Mahomes in one of them. So that would be the bar for me. They get to the AFC title game, I'll be very surprised. They win a playoff game, I can't really be that shocked in the AFC. If they win 10 games, I can't be shocked in the AFC. They're facing, outside of their division, 8 non-playoff teams from last year, and I don't think any of those teams are getting to the playoffs this year. Not the Cardinals. I don't think the Titans, not the Colts, not the Texans, not the Raiders, not whoever else I'm forgetting. They face Packers, 8 non-playoff teams. That's a pretty good schedule.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to see how far they can get. I think a lot of people are thinking 13 wins with this team, Joe, just because they're so fired up about this draft.
That would be surprising. That would qualify.
Yeah, I agree. But hey, Ben did it as a rookie. If Kenny Pickett in his second season, maybe he catches some lightning in a bottle.
He might. You never know. I think Kenny Pickett's definitely on the rise, and I think they've given him a very interesting new weapon. A couple of them, really. I think Allen Robinson is sort of that veteran security blanket, good route runner type guy. And then the big rookie tight end is, who knows how they're going to use him. I'll be as curious as everyone else.
Well, Joe, I think this was a successful maiden voyage, don't you?
Yes, I think we reached the promised land. Thank you, Adam.
Absolutely. We'll be back with Joe Starkey next week. Hopefully everyone enjoys the mailbag, but otherwise we'll talk to you again on Wednesday. Later Wednesday, Christopher Carr will be back with the North Shore Drive. So make sure you're tuned for that. Subscribe, hit the like on this video, help us out with the YouTube algorithm. Otherwise, Joe, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Adam.
Absolutely.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed it on Apple Podcasts, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. For 6 months of digital access to post-gazette.com for just $6, click the link down in the description.